Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Ladies and gentlemen, wagwan mafamia, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, friends. I really do hope that. And welcome back to the studio. Get out of it. Welcome back to the studio here outside Stamford Bridge to discuss what is a lot of Chelsea news today. There's a lot popping off. Today we're going to talk about what happened behind the scenes, the sensational transfer stories. Eden Hazard, we're not talking about the tragic, sad potentiality of him retiring, but him getting involved, maybe trying to get Romeo Lavia to join Chelsea. Now Ugarte is off. Of course, we await the news of Moises Caicedo. Fabrizio Romano said watch that closely in the coming days. Of course, which we will do, and Chelsea confirm the starlet, should I say, Kendry Paez to join Chelsea. So, thank you for joining me. There's lots to get into today. I appreciate your support as always. If you want to show your support, click the like button. It takes a millisecond and it helps out your local content creator. Though I'm not local, I'm inside the little screen. You're welcome to subscribe. I suggest if you do, you hit the bell because I'm probably going to have to start doing 2 videos a day, and when you hit the bell when you subscribe, it notifies you. How about that, eh? How about that? Alright, let's just get this one out of the way. Chelsea have signed a starlet, but he won't arrive for a little while. Chelsea Football Club has agreed to sign the teenage midfielder Kendry Paez from Independiente de Valle. Valle? Of course, this young midfielder is Ecuadorian, is 16 years old. He's the youngest ever scorer in an under-20s competition World Cup. He's mustard, basically, mate. He will join as soon as he turns 18. That's to do with rules. So, less than 2 years, we will see him develop. He is a Chelsea player. It is exciting. The hype on this kid is mad. It's like Andre Santos vibes, maybe more actually, which might not get your juices flowing now because we're talking about now and that's what we're about to get into, but ultimately it's a good thing. We're going to talk about maybe Ruben Loftus-Cheek, maybe a bit of update on Havertz to Real Madrid, Pulisic to City A. But first, let's give you an update of what happened to the Manuel Ugarte deal. We're just going to quickly give you the insight because it is interesting. Adam Crafton posted a piece on The Athletic. It's relevant because the stories are conflicting. So PSG are expected to conclude the transfer of Ugarte. We've got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. He's set to complete his move for 60 million euros, which is just under 52 million pounds. That was the release clause, of course. He's had his medical yesterday for PSG. On the surface, therefore, this appears to be a straightforward transaction. Yet the deal hung in the balance because of Chelsea. And we were competing fiercely for the signature to the point where we knew the player wanted to come here and we thought this deal was done. Certainly we reacted here on the channel, we as in, me on the channel, to report saying it was done. It began by L'Equipe, the French publication, doing an article which was soon picked up by others that claimed Chelsea, who met the player's release clause, were offering to also take care of additional costs in the transfer. The same report also said that Chelsea had discussed the possibility of not only acquiring Ugarte, so buying the midfielder, but also taking a stake in the club Sporting itself, who finished 4th in the Portuguese league. And we know this, off the bat, we know something whiffs here, because Chelsea's new ownership model, Kalile Koulibaly, have been adamant and spoken publicly about their desire to create a multi-club model. There's been reports from all kinds of journalists all over the gaff that Chelsea are trying to do this, and Portugal is one of their favoured destinations, as well as France. So this would surprise absolutely no one. So both Sporting and Chelsea have declined to comment. No surprise there. Sources close to the process, who, like others in the article, wish to remain anonymous to protect relationships between Sporting and Chelsea, denied that the West London club wanted to buy a stake in the Lisbon side. So far, everyone is denying it. They insisted the process was simple. 2 clubs, Chelsea and PSG, triggering the clause and both trying to get the player to join their clubs respectively. PSG, though, was sufficiently concerned by the media reports on the Sunday evening from L'Équipe, and they drafted a legal letter which they intended to send to Sporting. The draft letter, seen by The Athletic, cites the media coverage and says PSG believed they had a deal in place with both Sporting and the player. It is also expressed a concern that Sporting may have agreed the transfer to Ugarte to Chelsea and went to inquire about the possibility that, quote, such a transfer is contingent on the minority stake in Sporting by Chelsea FC. So it's starting to get muddy here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's starting to get controversial. And according to PSG, the French club became convinced Sporting, a selling Portuguese club, were encouraging Ugarte to join at Chelsea. Maybe the briefing of him always wanting to join the Premier League, who knows? Maybe there is conspiracy there. So the PSG did draft this letter with their concerns over the integrity of the proposed transfer, and they were gonna, basically, I'm telling to UEFA as well. Now, this article goes on because they put in some legal jargon in, talking about taking necessary regulatory steps, and as soon as this letter was presented to Sporting, Chelsea withdrew from the transfer. Now, of course, the stories come out since saying that PSG were paying 10 million a year, Chelsea were paying, a lot less. France are now saying actually he's getting paid 3.4 million on a 5-year contract, and that's actually lower than Chelsea's offer. But reports in Portugal saying no, PSG, and this is the report we reacted to yesterday, that no, PSG have blown Chelsea out of the water. To be honest, man, they're a state-backed super club that wouldn't surprise you if they pay silly money, because they pay certainly their big players, their front three, ridiculous money. Ridiculous money. Neymar's on 600k a week. And they spoke about financial integrity in this, and about Chelsea spending 600 million. Glass houses, man. Do you know what I mean? PSG are you can talk about Chelsea in the early noughties or whatever, but PSG are the club that fully mutilated the transfer market. People were like, oh my god, Manchester United are going to pay 89 million for Pogba. They spent 220 million for Neymar. They just skipped a whole bunch of levels, and they paid them silly money. Speaking of integrity and juicing the market and mutilating the financial worth of players in the market, no one comes close to PSG. So they should hush their gums, fam, when they come to criticising Chelsea. Chelsea are manoeuvring themselves within the limits of financial fair play. We didn't get Ugarte. We are going to look for alternatives. Like we said, Fabrizio Romano is telling us to watch closely on Moises Caicedo, which of course we will do. Looks like Rice is very unlikely. But it does seem we want to buy one more central midfielder. Despite having faith in Andre Santos and perhaps one other or whatever, we will look to buy two. So we'll look to buy, hopefully, Moises Caicedo. Like I said, I will follow that story very closely. If a story pops later, I will cover it. So please do hit the bell when you sub. But we also are looking at an older target, Romeo Lavia. So this is an exclusive from The Express. Chelsea is set to push Southampton star Romeo Lavia this summer after missing out on Ugarte. The Blues are long-term admirers of the midfielder and have highlighted him, along with Brighton's Moises Caicedo, as top targets for Mauricio Pochettino. Of course, he plans to rebuild the midfield. The Blues saw a bid for £50 million for Lavia rejected last summer. Pause. We've heard this disputed by Matt Law of The Telegraph. He says that's nonsense. Chelsea did try and sign him, but they didn't have a 50 million bid rejected. Joe Shields, who of course now is at Chelsea, was at Southampton, was at Man City. Lavia is a Man City academy product. I'm just going to sip my coffee. I'm slowly getting better, but I can't quite shake this cold. So essentially, this player is looking to follow Joe Shields everywhere. He was an academy player. We didn't, surely we didn't bid £50 million for a player that's just been bought from an academy for nothing. right? So we're going to reignite our interest in the 19-year-old in the coming weeks. Express Sport understands the playmaker is considered as an alternative to Ugarte. Wow, different players, aren't they? And they have stayed in regular contact with the players' representatives since their failed pursuit in 2022. So, of course, Joe Shields signed Lavia from Manchester City whilst he was at Southampton. He was a key driving force behind the Belgium international, being admired at Stamford Bridge. Of course, Southampton have been relegated. And when you buy a player from a relegated side, even in this peculiar modern market, surely, this guy's 19, it's a relegated side. They're saying here the Saints are hopeful of receiving a fee of £45 million for their number 45. That sounds like a lot. There is also a story here that Lavia has also spoken with Chelsea hero, that's right, hero, Eden Hazard, about his experience at Stamford Bridge prior to the World Cup. Hazard has actively encouraged his international teammate, although of course Eden Hazard is now retired from international football, to take the chance to join Chelsea. Excuse me, if the opportunity arrives. Yeah, look, despite the crap show that Chelsea is and has been for a little while now, Hazard loved his time at Chelsea. You know, he won 2 Europa Leagues, 2 Premier Leagues, a League Cup, and an FA Cup. Of course, the Champions League evaded him, which came merely 24 months after he left, which is a shame, really. But yes, he would have said, look, he's probably not he can't speak for the new owners because these left since they've come in, but he'll be saying Chelsea's great, West London is great, the fans are great, they'll give you time. And he's probably... After dealing with the Real Madrid fans, granted, I understand why they're disappointed with him. But, he was so adored at Chelsea. So in terms of his fan experience, comparatively to his current club, he'll be going to Romeo. Brother, go to Chelsea. If you play well and try hard, they'll love you. Excuse me. Yes, so... Where are we? We're going to have to sell some players as well. We're going to try and buy Caicedo. We're going to try and buy Lavia. We are going to try and buy a striker and a goalkeeper. Apparently, Chelsea have made an offer for French goalkeeper and Serie A, Mike Maignan, who of course plays for Milan. I believe he's France's number 1 now, taking over from Hugo Lloris, or certainly should be. Certainly is the best French playing goalkeeper out there. We were linked with Mike Maignan before we got Edouard Mendy. I did videos on that a long time ago now, it feels. And I actually preferenced Maignan at the time. I looked like a fool for a while because then Mendy just set fire and we won the Champions League. And I was like, worked out for us. But Mike Maignan is a better goalkeeper. He's the best goalkeeper in Serie A. Apparently we've offered 60 million euros for him. We've talked about Loftus-Cheek. It's very, very interesting. I would love Mike Maignan personally. I think he's just awesome goalkeeper. How old is he as well? Let's just quickly check. I'm assuming he is quite young, but I want to be entirely sure. He's 27, so for a goalkeeper entering his prime, he's over 1.9 meters tall. He's just a really good shot stopper, and he's just a great goalkeeper. I would love him at Chelsea. I'd probably prefer him over Andre Onana, but at the moment I'd take either, of course. Should we be able to sell both Kepa and, of course, Mendy? There is problems with Ruben Loftus-Cheek at the moment. He was due to have a meeting with Maldini over at Milan, who is rather strangely and controversially, I can't speak English, been fired of late, and he was due to have a meeting with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Now, I don't know if this has derailed the transfer entirely, but it's certainly thrown a spanner in the works. It's a peculiar sacking. You've got people like Rafa Leao, of course, the superstar MVP MVP last season winger, just posting the eyebrow raised emoji. And no, I don't think that's in homage to Ancelotti being a Milan legend. Clearly, he's not happy with that decision straight after signing a new deal. Of course, a popular figure at Milan, Maldini. But there's there's business to be done with Milan for Chelsea. Of course, we want to sell Loftus-Cheek there. They did great with Tomori, who Maldini brought there, of course. So, if they can still follow up those good ideas and get Loftus-Cheek there, who knows if we can sign Mike Mignon. I mean, with the allure to him will be playing in the Prem and getting paid more money, which was two massive allures, but no European football, I'm afraid, mate. But the ambition to get back in soon in a long-term project. In terms of the age profile as well, lots of people got high hopes for Gaga Slonina. Of course, he's still a teenager, so Chelsea first goalkeeper. Maybe a 27-year-old plays for 3 years, and then Gaga can take over. But to be honest, 30 is young for a goalkeeper still. But I don't know, maybe Chelsea will look to sell him or something. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. In terms of Italian football as well, Chelsea are trying to sell Christian Pulisic to a Serie A club. They feel like that's the best market for him. He is admired out there. We've spoken about Pulisic before. He does come with a lot of brand marketing juice because he's Captain America. And, get him playing again and get eyes on him. There's a good player in there. He's very, very good in transition. I think that would suit him in Italy. Whether it's Milan or Juventus, Chelsea will try and flog Christian Pulisic, who has 1 year left on his deal. But Liam Twomey suggests that Chelsea could get £20 million for him, which you'd probably take at the moment. Let's talk about Kai Havertz. Right, so Kai although generally has been happy at Chelsea, and despite frustrations of finding himself there, he knows he's a bit of he's not a legend, but he's a bit of an icon at Chelsea because of his goal in the Champions League final, and that will always be part of him, which is lovely. It is, no matter how dysfunctional it is. It would be nice for it to work because of that goal and because of his just general potential and silky ability, But understandably, reports from multiple publications are suggesting he's feeling a bit disillusioned with the project. And although there's been no formal contacts with Real Madrid and Chelsea yet about the transfer, there's an understanding on both sides that there is a deal to be done. Apparently, Real Madrid are quite close to Kai Havertz's agents. I can't confirm, I just read that somewhere. Of course, Kai has got friends in Real Madrid's locker room. His German compatriots. He's close with Antonio Rudiger. He's actually apparently quite close with Toni Kroos. These are two Real Madrid players that would welcome him in. There's a lot of English speakers in there as well, I think, or a few anyway, so they'll be able to communicate. He doesn't have to suddenly immediately speak Spanish. And £52 million plus bonuses is what Chelsea are hoping to sell him for. We've said it before on the channel, £28 million is what's left on his amortization for him for Chelsea to break even on the books. So if they sell them for 52 million plus bonuses, say 60 million in total, they'll be very happy with that, freeing up what are massive wages which break the new wage structure. Chelsea would probably be very happy with that. Chelsea would also be happy to keep him, I think. I think Pochettino would look at someone like Havertz and think, what a player, I could coach that. But if we're going to sign a striker and Nkunku's coming in and Chelsea can make 60 odd million for him, sounds good to me. I'd be sad, but my heart breaks 1,000 times in this transfer window because it needs to be rebuilt. Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? Alright, let me know what you think. It's a long one today, but there's lots to talk about, and there will continue to be lots to talk about, so make sure you hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby, when you subscribe to Football Therapy. Thanks for liking. I look forward to reading your comments. See you later.